working on what we call reverse Z guard, okay? Which in reality is like really a reverse butterfly guard, so just pause for a second, yeah. Regular butterfly guard being here. Regular Z guard being here, more like a low knee shield half guard. Just think that reverse Z guard is again gonna function like a butterfly guard, okay? You guys see I am slightly turned away from him here, okay? Especially if you're a beginner, this type of guard might not be the best one to like maybe throw at somebody first, okay? But it is a really good utility. Like if Ulysses puts me in a body lock pass, maybe he's just double legged me off of the feet, I can use this to create some pretty good threats here, okay? So one of the ways we're vulnerable here right away is if we don't control his head properly. So if Ulysses' head comes up, it's easier for him to get behind me. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. So right away, that'll show you guys the first detail, which is to take your middle fingers, grab the armpit, and rotate your lat down so his head's down. This is going to make it very difficult for him to get behind me. Okay. The second thing here for the lower body is this hook. Okay. This kneecap should always be facing the ceiling. Shin bone engaged to his quad and hamstring here. So if he tries to like kick away and pass, again, it's a butterfly hook. It keeps me attached to him, okay? Never under any circumstance do I want my knees to collapse, okay? And so I'm very offensive here. This hand, I want to do a good job of basing this hand to the side of me and staying up on my hand versus my elbow and certainly my back. So if he tries to drive into me right now, it's basically a kick stand. So guys, just like when we sit up in half guard, like try not to bring it here too much because if he drives in, yeah, that's pretty weak, okay? All right, so that's pretty much how we're gonna create the position here, all right? Now, in terms of creating threats, we're gonna look at a few different scenarios here that we can create and or he can put us in, okay? First thing we're gonna do is pay attention to his hips, all right? Right now, he's pretty neutral. If his hips are ever in a straight line with his shoulders like they are now, or even better, over his shoulders, I'm gonna start to think to bring him forwards, okay? So basically start to sweep him here, right? So from here, it's not a bad idea to start hip heisting right away, okay? If he allows us, right? We can still do what we're about to do from here as well, but I want you guys to have this concept in mind. So we're generating strong methods of creating momentum here and off balances. All right, you'll see why in a second. All right. So once we get up here, again, remember maintaining this, maintaining the hook. The other thing I'm gonna be doing here is controlling his elbow, okay? So we're gonna do what's called a reverse hook sweep or Yoko Sumi Gaeshi, which is basically gonna bring him overhead, okay? Or depending on how he reacts. We'll see in a second, okay? All right, so everything is aligned on my right side. My right leg, my right arm, okay? That's the way I'm taking him, okay? So we're gonna do a backwards roll over our right shoulder, okay? If you guys struggle with this motion, make sure you're looking over your back shoulder, okay? Look the way you're going, all right? Now when we're ready, I'm gonna go foot to foot, left foot to right foot, not out like this. It's gonna make this weaker, almost like you guys are sitting for a guillotine choke. Here, load him up, straight overhead, okay. Now, we're doing this on the ground, there's not a lot of momentum, okay? I could land and mount if I do this sharply enough, okay? But a lot of times we're gonna be about here. So no problem here, all we're gonna do, almost like we're in a hip switch or a floating pass, we're just gonna switch our hips, come to the top, okay? And a lot of times we're gonna let go of the lat and end up with a reverse cross face here, all right? Now, two options to finish with your other hand, depending on what he does. If he's a guard player, okay, and he's trying to get his hips back in front, I'm just gonna block his hips here, okay? If he's trying to wrestle up to the top, I'm just gonna hook his leg and control here so it's harder for him to split his legs and get up. This happens in butterfly guard too, okay? So you go to overhead them and you're like, they're falling to their side and you're like, man, I can't bring them over, but it's like, you don't have to. You understand? They just swept themselves. So we'll try to recreate that here. Okay, so when I go here, if I go to lift him, he just goes that way, guys, just get on top. You don't have to do the full motion, okay? Should you practice it that way? No, because somebody good, they're gonna have very good balance and try to stay on top. So the full motion is, again, going to be that full backwards roll. Okay, option we have in gi is to grab the belt and roll, okay? Remember, that's a huge part of this so his head doesn't come up. If his head comes up, he's gonna get behind me. From our reverse E-guard, grab his lat, rotate this down, okay? We're hip heisting, controlling this elbow so he's not posting. Okay, you really push into your partner, okay? Not only will that make the position tighter, it'll also like almost influence him to push back into you, and when he does, it's gonna help the sweep even more, okay? Okay, so here if he stays down, here if he's trying to get up. Compare this sweep, basically like head outside double leg, okay, to like a head inside single leg. And a lot of times when we're standing, this is when we hit the Kimura trap version of that Sumi Gaeshi, okay? Especially if you go on something like YouTube, maybe even look up judo videos too, you'll see it more from this position, okay? It does function a little bit differently though, and this, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, this is no longer reverse E-guard, okay? This would be more like when we're defending the side smash and stuff like that with this, okay? But Yoko Sumi Gaeshi is like one of the primary spots, or this would be one of the primary spots where you would hit it, okay? So a lot of times, like, this is where you'll get that finish when you're defending here, where you just dump the person over and get on top, okay? So another place that you can do that sweep, but you're probably not gonna hit it as an overhead sweep, okay? Because now the person's head is in front of you. When I've been teaching reverse E-guard this week and you guys go into sparring, I notice people are having difficulty keeping them. Okay. So really from all three spots, like here in the reverse E, in the hip heist and standing, I just want you guys to be used to the person moving, okay? So if Miriam starts going behind me, I just want to make sure that I'm following her. Okay? So you can do that a couple times. You guys see I'm using my hand to move. And then when I hip heist, same thing if she starts to walk around. I'll start to walk with her as well. And then of course when we stand up, which is going to go into the Harai Goshi, like I don't want to get suplexed here, so when she starts to walk here, I'm going to walk too, okay? So whenever we do traditional butterfly sweeps and he pops up to his feet, they kind of old school would go to X guard. You know, nowadays people are going under the legs, single leg X, stuff like that. So from here, okay, we're going to be looking at a reaction here. This can be by choice, but if you like both, you know, just pay attention to how he reacts. When I go to sweep him, okay, as long as I have this leg between his legs, I can get to saddle, period, okay? Now, kind of merging both techniques, so I have a game plan here. One of the best times to look for this is when I go to off balance him, he almost puts his weight up into his tippy toes and through his forehead. Like he's basically in a tripod here, all right? All right. So the good news is we still have this hook, all right? I want to reach for his legs, but you guys see here, when I elevate him, his legs are pretty far away. So I'm going to use this hook to pull him to me, okay? When I do that, I'm going to reach for his hamstring, okay? Just like when we go into our other saddle entries, like reverse X, for example, I want the hamstring, not the calf or the ankle necessarily, okay? If I go to do that and he like brings his knee to his shoulder, see, it's hard to lock up here. But now when I grab his hamstring, go to do the same thing. See, now when I bring this knee high, it's really easy to lock up, okay? The variation of saddle where we control both legs, double trouble, okay? So to do that, I'll just let go of his lat and grab his second hamstring, okay? Then from here, I'll start to curl my heels so I can sit up and collect both legs, okay? For those of you that have been here for the million times I've taught this, this is very similar to reverse X. All right, so we're here, okay? You guys are doing the same off balance. We're just gonna have our partner get up onto their toes this time, okay? Now remember guys, see I can't grab his leg here, so watch my right leg. I'm pulling him close to me. Now I can reach it. Here, up high, and then collapse, okay? If you guys do hit the sweep, it doesn't mean you can't still leg lock, all right? It is possible as long as you keep this leg between his legs, you get saddled at any point, okay? So for example, I'm gonna sweep him this time. Okay. Especially if I land here at ground momentum, even after sweeping him, you guys can still get saddled. Okay? Ulysses is gonna come up to his tippy toes again. Okay. Guys, I'm not straightening this leg. Okay, a lot of you are doing this, drop your hips. Yeah, don't straighten that leg. Remember, this is a butterfly hook. You want to bring this knee to your shoulder, the opposite, okay? Now, if you guys go here and he like flops over your head, okay? Remember, you can always back roll with him and get to this like top saddle position too. And this is arguably just as good, if not better. Okay? It's not out of the question that when I go to off balance up here and I bring this leg in, okay, instead of grabbing the second leg, especially if he kicks it away, there's nothing to say that I can't start attacking this leg here right away too. Okay? Up to the beginning of class. I need to pay attention to his hips. Okay? This is like being inside control when you're a beginner. Okay. The new guy is gonna go crazy here, try to drive into you and like smash his weight on you. And they just get rolled over, right? The experienced guy is gonna be sitting on his feet. Okay, see? Now his weight's not moving. That's the exact same issue in this position. Okay? So keep your butt glued to your heels, please. Even if I do everything right here, if he insists on sitting back, I won't get that weight load, and I'll have to build back up anyways, okay? So when that's the case, I'm just gonna get up to my feet, okay? Now, important to note here, okay? If he's that jiu-jitsu guy that doesn't practice takedowns, he stays on his knees, nice just front headlock. Let's talk about the more even dangerous scenario here where he stands up with me, okay? Okay, so if you were in the gi class, this is basically going to be a repeat of what we did, okay? So we were grabbing the belt here, this time we're grabbing the lap, okay? Now, we'll start off first if we beat him to the punch here, or there's no reaction. Maybe he's tired, he stands up, and he's just chilling here, okay? So we're going to look at that same Yoko Sumi Gaeshi, just standing, all right? Now, since we're standing, you guys are going to be building even more momentum here. So this time, it's very plausible that you guys are going to land in the mount, okay? Now, just like a lot of our other judo style takedowns, I don't want to be reaching too much. Like I was telling Caesar, I'm not getting underneath of him when I do that, okay? The second problem is when he feels me hook his leg, he's going to start running away and stepping back. Okay, so like any other good one, like Uchimata, Osoto Gare, we're gonna look for ways to clear the distance there by hopping or jumping, okay? Same thing here. So watch, I'm gonna go left foot to right, and then hook, okay? All right? Now you guys just commit to that same backwards roll that you did at the beginning of class. And it should be easier this time because you have a ton of room. You guys see tons of momentum there? That makes it way easier for me to connect to mount. And if you don't, again, you already know what to do. You can just go to side control, okay? This is gonna give you guys core principles of this position. Joe's bringing his ass up off the floor. I can load his weight. Joe's sitting back on his feet. I can't load his weight, but he does make it easier to get up because he's not driving into me, okay? So I stand up, he stands up with me, okay? We're still gonna keep these grips strong. I'm gonna shuffle step in, and when I step in here, it makes that way, way easier. A lot of you have probably done this off of what we call Kimura trap, okay? With or without a single leg, you can grab a single leg, okay? Guys, if you've ever done this before, it's literally the same takedown, just without a Kimura grip and his head on the outside. Any of the three positions, whether I'm seated, whether I'm in the hip height on one knee, or whether I'm here, if I let him circle around me, okay, with or without a butterfly hook, it's easy to lose position here. So when he starts to walk, so will I. Okay. So that's what we need to get used to first, okay? Now, we're gonna consolidate that with the Harai Goshi again. So remember, when we do that, kind of isolating the two movements right now, okay? We're still grabbing the elbow. We're still taking that big step in, okay? Above the knee, and we're trying to lift him with our hips. You guys see Ulysses, let's go, and he break falls when I do that. Okay, it's very important. If you hold on when they throw you here, there's a very good chance with all the momentum, you're gonna pull your partner on top of you, and it's gonna be kind of an unpleasant landing. Now let's put those two things together. So he's walking behind me, I'm walking with him. When I'm ready to step in, and I hit with my hip. Okay? If you guys need to from this grip, you don't necessarily need to practice this from the premise that we're both running right now, okay? Especially if you don't understand the mechanics of like how this technique works. If you guys need to, just practice it right here with both of you standing still. Okay, he doesn't necessarily need to be on the side of me either. I can still hit it here, okay? And then really just practice stepping in, connecting above the knee, okay? And really curling in, like almost like your leg's a hand grabbing his leg and trying to lift his leg off the ground, okay? And then once you do that, just really, as you curl, start to think like all the engagement's gonna go through your hip, like your hip is lifting, okay? That's how you're gonna get that clean throw versus like, did it work? Did the guy just fall over? Like, you know, stuff like that. That's important. So here, lift. Here, we can actually use that same hook to combat against like mat returns and suplexes as well. So if I throw this in and he goes to lift me, it's very difficult, okay? And then a lot of times here when he releases, you can just go right back to attacking the throw as well. He's not always going to be body locking me. That's important to identify here, okay? So one thing he could do is switch from a body lock to basically an arm triangle grip, okay? Like a claw grip here, all right? Now, this is really going to teach you guys the fundamentals of this position, okay? The tools that you have, not just for attacking, but also defense. Not just the lat grip, but really importantly here too, this butterfly hook. So if he drives me flat, for example, okay, if I let this hook go, I will get arm triangle. Okay? But if I keep this strong, okay, he can lock his hands, go ahead. Try to choke me. See, this isn't too bad. He could try to pass. See, I'm still connected. And while he's doing all that, it should be an easy thing to just stretch your butterfly hook and build up back to your hand. Okay. The problem becomes if it's not quite that bad or we got back up, a lot of times when people are very aggressive with this grip, okay, usually means he's driving forwards. I can't hip heights. It's difficult, okay? So, another cool thing about this scenario is it's gonna be your bridge from this reverse E-guard back to a traditional butterfly guard, okay? So I'm gonna keep his head tucked, okay? So I'm not getting collapsed here. I'm actually gonna get off of my left hip and switch to both butt cheeks, basically, okay? That should allow me to take my hand off the ground and switch to an underhook, okay? I'm gonna punch this underhook nice and deep, right? Now this is a regular Sumi Gaeshi now, a regular hook sweep. There's a million variations of this, okay? We've gone over a few. For now, I want you guys to try to hit this with that lat grip on the head, okay? It should make this sweep still pretty good and functional. As I'm doing that, I should have the ability to take my hand and actually control his tricep too, so it's harder for him to base out here. So I still have the head and I have the tricep, which is necessary for stopping him from posting, okay? Now, if you haven't done regular Sumi Gaeshi before, okay, again, we switched from here to here. This is now going to become the main butterfly hook, my other leg. This leg, my foot is going to tuck under my own knee, and I'm going to use that foot to push off the mat to generate the power for the sweep. Again, Sumi Gaeshi isn't me just kicking him as hard as I can with this leg. It's actually a bad habit. You can injure your knee that way. Okay? I want to push with my bottom foot. Okay? And that'll help me extend that leg. Now, when we sweep from here, this is a little bit less of a crazy transition versus the Yoko Sumi Gaeshi, the reverse hook sweep. A lot of times here, once we sweep them, we can just let go of the head and come up to a more traditional side control. This is going to get that arm triangle grip. He's going to flatten me out. I want you guys to practice keeping both these defenses strong. Return them up here, okay? Hand on the mat, use that to switch your hips. Okay, so you're seated. Get your underhook. Make sure you're rolling the head and controlling the tricep. You guys see his elbow there? Okay, this is still a post. He could still potentially stop me with this. So while I'm rolling his head down, I'm still trying to pull this elbow in, okay? This hook's connected, bottom foot on the mat. I'm using that to push to generate the power for the sweep. It's a problem if I get driven down this way because I'm facing away from her, okay? So if you guys are wondering here, just generally in butterfly guard, getting driven flat isn't the end of the world. It can limit my options, but guys, the sweep still works. Okay, it's still mechanically sound. So don't worry about getting driven back there. I mean, especially if they stand up, and again, you go to things like single leg X, that's where you're gonna go anyways. And then Dale, you brought up if the head pops out, still controlling the elbow, collapsing head to sweep. But one thing that's really gonna mess us up here, okay, is if we lose control of this arm altogether and she posts. Okay, now I don't have an immediate off balance unless I break this post or somehow go around it, okay? So in my opinion, this is, in all of this sequence, this is the reasonable time to attack the submission, okay? So from here, a really good option is to roll your shoulder over and get the chin strap, okay? And then from here, again, just like the first technique, the sweep and the leg lock entry, we have the threat of a sweep and a submission here. So from here, I'll again start to roll her head down, sweep, and come to the top, okay? I'll give you guys two options here for finishing with your lower body. Okay, first one, I'm gonna step up and sprawl my bottom leg back, and I'm gonna roll my weight into her chest as I chicken wing this arm. The other option, okay, is you guys could also do a sit out and then do the same thing. Okay?